Beautiful Peacock by Tor Saunders. We only met once, but I still miss you. You had kind eyes and a great personality that would brighten any conversation. I remember you as a woman in your 80s whom was forced to spend her last couple years in a wheelchair, but still found a way to smile whenever you saw me. This was not you, though. This was just your elder form, because you were described as a woman with grace and confidence that would glide from room to room, with a smile on your face that would brighten any room. P. Saunders. I sadly do not remember you this way, but I do remember that smile like no other. I wish you could have told me stories about your childhood and the rest of your life, but luckily I have the next best source, your eldest daughter, who was a part of many adventures with you. You were born in the boroughs of Lambeth in London, England on February 18th, 1927. You were known to describe your childhood as an experience like few have had, but one I would not trade for anything else in the world. E. Peacock. Your childhood really got interesting at the age of 14. World War II was in full effect, and the battle was coming to England in the form of bombings on the cities. It was a scary time that really made you realize how stupid war is. E. Peacock. You had seen a lot of things that no 14-year-old girl should ever see in her life, but you experienced it firsthand. You dealt with the drama around you and lived your life to the fullest you could, even though you were cramped into the undergrounds at night to protect you from the German air raid that came often. These conditions are incredibly difficult, and it is impressive that anyone could fight through all those problems and still have an optimistic look on life. Your life was already so different than what it should have been at that time, but then life threw another curveball at you when you had to be evacuated with your 7-year-old brother from your family in London. Grandma said you told her about taking the train with Melvin to Clopton and thinking that your family was being left in London to deal with the bombings. Looking out that train, I thought to myself that I was safe, but then I realized my family was not entirely safe. So was I really safe? E. Peacock. But you had to stiffen up your lip and become the parental figure for Melvin. The family in Clopton that you stayed with was nice, though, and treated you and Melvin as their own, so it made settling in much easier. You and Melvin were fortunate enough to be able to only have to live like this for a short period of time before your parents moved to Clopton so that the whole family could be together. And you said it was single-handedly the happiest day of your life, E. Peacock, when the whole family was reunited. You often said you grew up a lot at this stage of your life, and when the family moved over, you had to get a job at the manor as a cook so that you could bring in money for the family in this tough time. You always said you enjoyed your time at the manor, though, because it was an exciting job that would keep you entertained through the long days, and would also get to meet all sorts of interesting people coming in and out of the manor as the days went by. But then the day came that the war ended and you were allowed to leave Clopton, and the whole family came together and decided to go back to London and try to live a life like the one it had been before the war, which would be very difficult, but those were the best times for the family, so that you figured it was the best decision. A short 3 years later, you met great-grandpa, and after that you had my dear great-grandma Pat. Grandma Pat was the first of your 5 kids and you were very close to her in particular because she was the first, so she shared the most experiences with you. Grandma Pat described you as a determined woman, independent woman, who did what she wanted because she only had one life to live. This was a good and bad thing for Mom because she would end up making good decisions for herself, but they would sometimes affect the family. P. Saunders. One of the decisions Grandma didn't agree with was your decision to leave Great-Grandpa and the family and move to London by yourself because you were unhappy with the marriage. Grandma always did say, though, that she enjoyed her time in London alone, and came back a happier person than when she left. P. Saunders. Whether that was from your time spent working as a clippy on the double-decker bus, or that you just had some independence for yourself, so you could do what you wanted to do to make yourself happy. I always wanted to know about your time as a clippy conductor for the double-decker bus because I loved riding on those buses when we went to visit you in London, and I'm positive that you had some fantastic stories about your time working on the bus. Anyways, so you moved away from the family for some time, but then you came back and lived your life again like nothing had changed. It ended up being an 8-year period that you spent enjoying your time in London, which is quite a substantial term to leave your family. Grandma Pat always said you would tell her about the incredible adventures that you were having, and she was always a bit envious because she had to stay home and take care of the younger ones while you were away having the time of your life. But you made your decision and had some fun. Grandma told me that you fell in love with bowling while in London, and even joined a bowling league with other clubbies, and actually she became quite good at it. P. Saunders. She also told me that you picked up deep sea fishing while away in London. I personally wish you would have told me of your deep sea fishing experiences and also your Clippy bowling league, which sounded like a truly unique experience. Another unique story about you was one of my dad would tell me that I never forget. My dad would say that there was one thing your Grandma Peacock feared more than anything in the world: elevators. If we were going to see something on the 20th floor, she would hike up her skirt and walk up all 20 stories without saying a word. S. Saunders. This fear was caused by this fear was caused by the fact that you were stuck in an elevator during one of the bombs dropped during World War II. You ended up being stuck in there only 45 minutes, but it scared you so badly that you refused to take any of the elevators and would only take stairs, no matter what floor they were going to. Like Grandma Pat, one of the things that would define you would be your love for gardening and animals. You would always find a way to make plants come to life and have a beautiful garden wherever you would go. Every house you lived in would have a beautiful garden out front that all the neighbors would compliment on whenever they were to walk by. Animals were your second love that you always would care for. If there were a stray cat on the streets, Grandma Peacock would take that cat in and feed it, and sometimes keep the cat until it would die years down the road. You would truly take it in and love it like no other. Over your life, you had 15 cats that you took in and would spend time and money on to make them happier than they ever could be while stuck on the streets. You could say you had a true love for the environment and pride yourself on helping those who cannot help themselves. As you made it into the later stages of life, you moved from London to Titchmarsh and then finally moved to a small city in Wales called Caerleon. You sadly were diagnosed with cancer, but that never let you stop smiling. That was one of the worst things I remember about you, or that was one of the few things I remember about you. I remember you sitting in a wheelchair with a smile from ear to ear because we were finally there to see you. Grandma Pat always did say, Grandma Peacock loved her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren more than anything else to really make her happy. I just had to bring along Stu and Patrick, and she would instantly start smiling. P. Peacock. Sadly, you soon passed from cancer after the first time I met you, but you truly did make an impact on my life. You were something special, Grandma Peacock. Well, there was the green thumb caring for stray animals, the stories that I could have heard about the war, your fear of elevators that made you climb 20 flights of stairs in your elderly age, or your love for bowling that you even tried to keep alive while you were in your wheelchair. To this day, I still hear stories from Grandma Pat, Grandpa John, and Mom and Dad about how great of a human being you were, and that you were truly one of a kind. I truly do miss you, Grandma Peacock. We met once, but you were the nicest person I ever met in my life, and I wish I could have spent more time with you and learned from all your stories and could have shared with me to make me a better person. People spend time talking about how much they miss people, and even though I do miss you, I believe you are in a better place. And I believe the lyrics of Lynyrd Skynyrd's Free Bird that goes, "'Cause I'm as free as a bird now, and this bird you cannot change," describe you and your personality perfectly, because you would not allow others to change you, and now you are truly free to do what you want. I love you.